Hey everybody, James Dwyer here from Angle & Volkers, and this is your year-end report for the 2020 Halifax Dartmouth real estate market, where we're going to look at a couple of factors that really drove the market this year and what can we expect going into 2021 and beyond. So let's begin. In 2020, we actually seen a very big uptick in the actual total sales. We had one arm of a perfect storm creating this seller's market. But by the second half of the year, and with the restrictions lifted, it created a bottleneck in our real estate market. So in the months of June, July, and August, we had several competing markets that are usually spread out over the spring and early summer, all happening at once. And that drove total sales, which in turn drove median sale price up a lot higher. It also created an environment where we had a lot of competition for individual listings. So let's actually talk about those numbers. So what we've seen compared from 2020 to 2019 for total sales was an increase of 12.8%, and that's a total of 7,591 sales. What that says to me is we've got an increased interest in our particular market, whether it's local buyers, interprovincial migration, and now a new component that's becoming a much more stronger arm to our market is international buyers. Now, let's talk about median sale price. Because of all these factors that were kind of driving the market in 2020, we've seen median sale price go up to $335,000 throughout the city. That's an increase from 2019 of 15.1%, and compared to the year before, that's an increase of 24%. Now, what does that mean going into 2021? Well, we still have the issue when it comes to our inventory. Usually, and then traditionally, when it comes to our resale market, the builders and new construction homes usually pick up that slack. But 2020 has created a new series of issues, especially for those type of sellers. And one of those happens to be supply issues that we've seen throughout the Maritimes and across the country. There's definitely an issue when it comes to supplies, and also too, a workforce. We have a great workforce. When it comes to the trades, there always could be more, and that could really help amp up our building process. So one number that really stood out to me this year would actually have to be the number of active listings that were on the market in the city by the end of the year. It's actually down compared to the year before by 38%. Now going back into 2021, what do we have happening? Depending on who you're talking to, we've got many different reports, and I think this year is probably going to be one of the hardest years to predict to see what's going to happen with so much volatility in the marketplace. When it comes to a regional perspective, I think looking at it from this perspective is really important, especially for us, is that the inventory issues that have led to this market to be what it is are still going to carry forward into 2021. And builders will not be in a position to continue to build actually more inventory to offset that. So I still think we're going to have an inventory issue. It'll come down to, though, total sales. So what we've seen this year was actually an upticks in interprovincial migration coming from markets from British Columbia, coming from markets from Ontario, as the dynamic of how we work in the world that we live has completely changed. Living in that inner city is not necessarily important for the work that they may do. So maybe they'll go for something a bit more rural, as long as they got high-speed internet, a designated home office, soundproofing, doors that can lock, anything to keep the dogs or the kids out from interfering with those business meetings that they're doing online. And so I do anticipate to see in 2021 more on the outskirts of the city and in rural Nova Scotia, definitely big upticks when it comes to summer homes and secondary homes. Now, the bigger question is going to have to be is what's happening with our immigration? Will we see an increase in immigration in 2021? Maybe in the second half, we're not quite sure yet. That will be determined. But that will have a big effect when it comes to the real estate market going forward. So I suspect, maybe we don't bank on that in 2021, but we'll definitely see signs of that in 2022. Another question that's been posed to me has been, are we going to see a big uptick in foreclosure homes? Well, the reality of the situation is because the market is so hot, I highly doubt we're going to see properties come on the market because of foreclosure. Why would anyone want to give back their bank at book value when they could just easily put it on the market and sell it above asking because the market is so hot and we have record low inventory? So what does that mean? I think what we're going to see is, will those numbers have a big impact in our inventory? I don't think it's going to have enough of an impact to drive our market from a seller's market to a balanced market, but I think we'll see an uptick in inventory in the winter months, in January, February, March, and April, that will help offset that spring market. And so traditionally what our market always does, we are usually quite quiet in the winter months, and we spike pretty hard and heavy going into the spring and early summer. I think this year what we're going to see is more of a little bit of a leveling out of that as we see more inventory coming on in January, February, and March. So overall, 2021, I suspect, will be a continuation of what we've seen in 2020. Record low inventories, increasing sales, and thus an increasing in the median sale price. So if you're thinking or considering selling your property in the next year or two, maybe this is the year that you would take a look at that. And if you're buying, it's more important than ever to have somebody that represent you as a buyer's agent that can negotiate on your behalf and help you navigate this entire process. The last thing anyone wants to do is buy a house in a hot market and then sit on that house for several years and come to learn that they probably are not going to make as much money as they were anticipating because they paid so much for it back in the beginning. So it's very important going into 2021 that you hire yourself somebody that knows the market inside and out and can help protect your investment for years to come. I hope you found today's information of value to you, and if you've got questions, feel free to reach out to me. Once again, I'm James Dwyer from Engel & Volkers, and this is your market report for 2020. Thank you.